Thank you for joining the Another Act Impact panel for the 2021 Essence Festival. Today's activation is presented in conjunction with the Undefeated, ESPN, and the Walt Disney Company. I'm your host, Kelley Carter, and I'm joined by activist, media host, and MSNBC contributor, Brittany Packnett Cunningham, ESPN sports analyst and host, Monica McNutt, senior global lead for public affairs at Pinterest, Alise Marshall, founder of Unapologetic Communications, Takirra Winfield, Dixon, and third-year Howard University doctoral student, Zakiyyah Ali. Welcome, women. Without further ado, I want to start talking about creating spaces that surpass traditionalism. Brittany, I want to start with you. As an activist, why is it important that your work brings the issues we're experiencing forward to today's space?
There is no possible way for activists, organizers, advocates to talk about something, to work on an issue that is not directly affecting people. When we talk to Congress about canceling student loans, we're talking about a racial justice issue, a feminist issue, a womanist issue. So all of those dots deeply connect, whether we're talking about the economy, whether we're talking about police violence, whether we're talking about environmental racism and climate change. All of this stuff is felt and real. And what everyone deserves, especially Black folks, especially Black women, is to know that there are people fighting on our behalf who are unwilling to stop until it's done.
Absolutely. Alise, I want to go to you here because you've shattered many of those glass ceilings, not only in the tech space, but you also once served in the Obama administration. You advocate for youth. How did you break away from traditionalism? What was that journey like for you?
What I tried to do was ask myself, not what job do I want, not what title do I want, but what impact do I ultimately want to have? I think no matter where you are, you can leverage your platform, you can leverage your access to address the structural barriers that exist for our people and to create, to give voice to the issues that we face. I also think that this idea of duality and fluidity is just sort of baked into who we are. It's baked into our history. When you look at people like Josephine Baker and Harry Belafonte, if they would have restricted themselves to just saying, I'm just going to be a performer, I'm just going to be an actor, we wouldn't have the benefit of all the work that they've done for Black people, on behalf of Black people, and creating space and giving voice to Black people.
Along the lines of giving us a voice, Monica, I want to kick it over to you because you're all over our televisions right now. And it says a lot to society because one item that cancels traditionalism in news and sports is representation. I'd love to hear who inspired you to consider a career in front of the camera and the message that you think that your presence sends to everyone.
Way back when, it was Robin Roberts for me. I remember watching her when she was still a SportsCenter anchor. Fast forward, ending my career at Georgetown as a student athlete, taking a little bit more keen observation of the landscape, I remember saying to people that I loved, this hair is coming as it is, right? Like I am coming as I am. Has it taken me some time in an industry that is subjective? Sure. Could I say that perhaps some things didn't bounce my way because it is such a visual medium and I didn't fit the look? Possibly. But when I look at my journey and look at where I am now, there is not a single thing that I would change because I am most proud of being able to show up, hoop earrings, bright lipstick, short hair, like here I am, hear me tell you about these sports because I know what I'm talking about.
I love all of that. Zakiyyah, I want to pivot to you here. You wrote an essay about traditionalism and the prototype of the Black man, but you went on to talk about Black women and athletes. How does the prototype fit into traditionalism?
So I wrote the article about traditionalism and this prototype. And when that prototype speaks out against or bucks the system, then that prototype becomes problematic. And I think that more than anything as an educator, for me, it's important to always teach students to utilize their voices. And I think about people like the Josephine Bakers, and I think about Paul Robeson. And Paul Robeson, he made this quote and he said, as an artist, I come to sing, but as a citizen, I come to speak for peace and nobody is going to silence my voice. So the biggest thing that any of us could ever use is our voice. And staying in the traditional model, it diminishes the voice because it tells you that you're supposed to be seen and not heard. So I think fundamentally it's important for us to just go against traditionalism and say, use your voice. That's why God gave it to you. You have one mouth and you have two ears, but whatever is coming out of your mouth should be powerful, it should be potent, and it should be prevalent to the times and the lives in which we're living right now.
Phew, y'all aren't playing today. I want to kick it over to Takirra because, as an activist with tons of experience in politics who stepped away from working for others to work for yourself while empowering other women, how did you surpass traditionalism?
Yeah, y'all, I left the table. I created my own table, right? Like sometimes saying yes means saying no, right? And trusting yourself and having that clarity of, what is really going to help me thrive and succeed. And for me, it was not being part of white supremacist capitalism. It was not working for someone else. In my field, I own a communications firm. There are tons and tons of white male-owned, dominating communications firms. I did not want to be them, as is the case for so many Black women in this country, right? The system is not set up for us, period. Right. And so we know, right? James Baldwin said, I don't know you personally, but I know you historically. Right. And so for me, I'm trying to change what that history is.
Brittany, the world has had a front row seat in watching you in the activism space break stereotypical myths that have been placed upon the Black community time and time again. Why is it important for you to stay layered in your efforts, especially right now in 2021?
Because the fight for freedom is the fight to fully be free, which means that we can be ourselves in all of those dimensions. We know that many of the industries that we all represent and work in want to flatten us, that they want to create one dimension because then we are more palatable. If we are just the broadcaster or just the CEO or just the wife or just the mother or just the activist or just the voice, then it's much easier for white folks, frankly, to swallow us, right? It's much easier for them to deal with what we have to bring. But if we bring every single dimension, not only are we more free in ourselves, guess what? We are setting everybody else free too. So no, I will not let you limit me to just being a podcaster or just being in academia as a fellow at Harvard, or just being an activist, or you just know me from Ferguson, or you just know me from this platform, or you just know me from Twitter. No, baby, I'm all of these things, and you're welcome.
Monica, I know that it's always been important to you as an athlete to convey that you are more than your on-court talent. Staying in the realm of being more than an athlete, do you find that you're continually proving yourself? And how do you break that chain?
It's been a really eye-opening experience for me because the other part then becomes the things that I've dreamt about are within grasp. And now becomes the power of no, like Takirra said, in terms of, now you see the value that I bring now. Wait a minute, time out. Let's talk about these numbers before we start giving out this value for free. So It's been really interesting. And I think that I'm most proud of continuing to learn about myself.
And then some, as we continue to explore the importance of Black women and how we make decisions for our lives, let's pay it forward a little bit. Zakiyyah, I want to start with you. What advice do you give Black women who may need to reinvent themselves at any point in their lives? Any personal moments for you? Any good advice?
I have a lot of personal moments. And one of the personal moments that I have is just thinking about the fact that the ancestors would not be happy about me not doing what they have made sure that I am possible to do just in their mere survival. I'm the great-great-granddaughter of a formerly enslaved man. His name was Boss Brooks. So even when my great-great-grandfather was enslaved in Georgia, you had to call him Boss because that's what his name was. I'm the great-granddaughter of sharecroppers who made sure that when they created and purchased this land, that it could not leave the family. And now my cousin and I are entrusted with making sure that we honor the legacy of our ancestors. So the one piece of advice that I would give Black women and Black men, Black people, is to remember who you are.
Alise, what about yourself?
Find moments for joy. Find moments for when we're doing this work, whether it's in corporate spaces, whether it's in nonprofit spaces, on the front lines of social justice movements. This is generational work. And to be in it for the long haul, you have to make time for yourself, for rest, for vacation, for joy, for celebration. And you can do the work and make an impact where we started this conversation on impact, and also make space for yourself.
Takirra, how about yourself?
I would say just to trust yourself and don't just take a leap of faith, take a leap. Right? When we just leap and we're in free fall, we are the most beautiful, most creative, most innovative, most powerful people and to trust yourself and your instincts.